Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we journey into the untamed wilderness to meet one of its most powerful and iconic residents, the grizzly bear. Known to science as Ursus arctos horribilis, this animal is more than just a symbol of strength. It's an ecological architect, an apex predator whose very presence shapes the landscape it calls home. Forget what you think you know, because the true story of the grizzly is one of immense power, surprising dietary habits, and incredible biological adaptations that are still baffling scientists. Let's start with what makes a grizzly a grizzly. The first thing you probably picture is that massive muscular hump on its shoulders. This isn't fat. It's a dense mass of muscle that gives the bear incredible digging strength. And it needs that strength because digging is a huge part of its life. From unearthing roots to building its winter den, paired with this muscle are claws that can be as long as a human finger. These aren't like a cat's retractable claws. They are long, curved, and permanently out, perfectly designed for excavating soil, tearing into logs for insects, and, of course, capturing prey. The name grizzly itself comes from the grizzled look of its fur. Their coat can range from light blonde to dark brown, but it often has white or silver-tipped hairs, especially on the back and shoulders, giving it that distinctive frosted appearance. Another key feature is its face, which has a concave or dished profile, setting it apart from the straight profile of a black bear. Their ears are short and rounded. Now, you might hear people talk about grizzly bears and brown bears as if they are different animals. Genetically, they are the same species, Ursus arctos. The difference in name is mostly regional. Grizzly typically refers to the inland populations in North America, while brown bear is often used for the coastal giants, especially in Alaska. These coastal bears have access to a protein-rich diet of salmon, allowing them to grow much larger. While an inland male grizzly might weigh between 400 and 600 pounds, some coastal brown bear males can exceed a staggering 1,000 pounds. Females are always significantly smaller, usually weighing between 250 and 350 pounds in the lower 48 states. So, where do these massive animals live? Historically, their domain was vast, stretching from the Arctic tundra of Alaska all the way down to Mexico and across the western Great Plains. But due to human expansion and persecution, their range has been drastically reduced. Today, in the contiguous United States, grizzlies are found in just a few fragmented populations in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and Washington. They are incredibly adaptable, thriving in everything from dense forests and alpine meadows to open plains. They particularly favor areas with a mix of habitats, as this provides a wider variety of food sources throughout the year. And they need a lot of space. These are solitary animals that require huge territories. A female's home range can be anywhere from 50 to 300 square miles. For a male, that expands to an area between 200 and 500 square miles. While they are solitary, their home ranges often overlap, and it's common to see multiple bears congregating in an area that is particularly rich in resources, like a river full of spawning salmon. Now let's talk about what fuels these powerful animals. Despite their reputation as fearsome carnivores, grizzly bears are omnivores, and their diet is surprisingly dominated by plants. In many inland areas, vegetation can make up 80 to 90% of their food. Their menu changes dramatically with the seasons, as they are opportunistic eaters, consuming whatever is most nutritious and available. When they emerge from their dens in the spring, the first thing on their mind is food. The snow is melting, and new life is sprouting. They'll feed on tender new grasses, sedges, and wildflowers. They'll also use those powerful shoulder muscles and long claws to dig for calorie-dense roots and tubers. Another crucial spring food source is carrion, the carcasses of animals like elk and bison that didn't survive the winter. As spring turns to summer, the landscape transforms into a buffet. Berries become a critical food source. Grizzlies will gorge themselves on huckleberries, buffalo berries, and strawberries, consuming them in enormous quantities to start building the fat reserves they'll need for winter. They also seek out high-protein insects. One fascinating example is the army cutworm moth. In certain areas, like the high peaks of Yellowstone, millions of these moths migrate to alpine talus slopes. Grizzlies will spend hours turning over rocks to lick up the moths, which are a rich source of fat and protein. Of course, grizzlies are also skilled predators. They are capable of taking down large prey like moose, elk, and even bison, although they typically target calves or sick and weakened adults. In places like Yellowstone, they are a significant predator of newborn elk and moose calves, playing a direct role in managing those populations. And in regions like Alaska, they become master anglers. During the salmon runs, grizzly bears congregate at rivers and streams, employing a variety of fishing techniques. Some will stand in the shallow water and try to pin a fish to the riverbed with their paws. Others might sit on the bank and lunge to catch a fish in their jaws, or even dive into deeper pools. This seasonal feast of salmon is what allows those coastal brown bears to reach such immense sizes. All this eating, especially in the late summer and fall, is for one purpose: surviving the winter. To do this, grizzlies enter a state of hibernation. But it's not true hibernation like you see in a groundhog. It's more accurately described as a state of torpor. Before they den up, they enter a phase called hyperphagia. This is a period of intense, obsessive eating, where their sole focus is to consume as many calories as possible. During hyperphagia, a grizzly can gain up to 3 pounds of fat per day. This fat is the fuel that will sustain them for the entire winter. They typically enter their dens between October and December and will stay there for 4 to 7 months. The dens themselves are usually dug into hillsides at high elevations, often on north-facing slopes where deep snow will accumulate and provide excellent insulation. A bear will spend days creating its den, but interestingly, they rarely use the same den for more than one winter. Once inside, their body undergoes a remarkable transformation. Their heart rate slows dramatically, dropping from about 40 beats per minute to as low as 8. Their breathing slows, and their body temperature drops by several degrees. For the entire 4 to 7 months, they do not eat, drink, urinate, or defecate. This is where one of the most incredible biological adaptations occurs. Their bodies have evolved a way to recycle their own waste products. They convert urea, a primary component of urine, into protein. This process prevents significant muscle loss and keeps their organs healthy, all while they sleep. This amazing physiological trick has even attracted the attention of medical researchers who hope it might one day lead to treatments for muscle atrophy in humans or help astronauts on long-term space missions. The winter den is not just a place for survival, it's also a nursery. Grizzly bears have one of the slowest reproductive rates of any terrestrial mammal in North America, and their life cycle is a slow and deliberate process. Females don't even reach sexual maturity until they are between 3 and 8 years old. Mating happens from May to July, but this is where another fascinating biological process kicks in: delayed implantation. After mating, the fertilized egg doesn't immediately implant in the female's uterus. It floats in a state of suspended development for several months. The embryo will only implant in the fall if the female has managed to gain enough body fat during the hyperphagia phase. If she hasn't accumulated sufficient reserves to sustain both herself and her potential offspring through the long winter hibernation, her body may simply reabsorb the embryo. This is nature's way of ensuring that cubs are only born when the mother is in peak condition to support them. If implantation is successful, the cubs are born in the den, usually in January or February, while the mother is still in her state of torpor. Litters are typically 1 to 4 cubs, with 2 being the most common. At birth, they are shockingly small, weighing only about a pound. They are born blind, toothless, and nearly hairless, completely dependent on their mother's warmth and rich milk. They grow rapidly in the safety of the den. The family finally emerges in the spring, and the cubs begin to explore the world under the constant, watchful eye of their mother. A mother grizzly is fiercely protective. She will defend her cubs against any perceived threat, including larger male bears, which are known to sometimes kill cubs. The cubs will stay with their mother for 2 to 3 years, learning all the essential survival skills: how to find berries, dig for roots, hunt, and navigate their vast territory. Because the mother is focused on raising her cubs during this time, she will not mate again. This long period of dependency is a major reason why the grizzly bear population grows so slowly. While we think of grizzlies as solitary, they do have a complex social world. The main exceptions to their solitary nature are mothers with cubs and those large gatherings at concentrated food sources. They aren't strictly territorial in the sense of defending rigid borders, but they do have established home ranges. Communication is a sophisticated mix of body language, sounds, and scent. A grizzly standing on its hind legs is often misinterpreted as a sign of aggression. In reality, it's usually just trying to get a better view or catch a scent on the wind. Flattened ears and a lowered head, however, are clear signs of agitation. Their vocalizations range from soft grunts, often used between a mother and her cubs, to loud growls that serve as a clear warning. They also use scent marking as a kind of social media. Bears will rub their bodies against trees, leaving their scent to announce their presence, status, and readiness to mate to other bears in the area. This helps maintain a social hierarchy without the need for constant, risky physical confrontations. Perhaps the most important role the grizzly plays is that of a keystone species. This means its presence has a disproportionately large and positive impact on its entire ecosystem. Their influence is felt everywhere. As predators, they help regulate populations of herbivores like elk and moose. This prevents overgrazing, which in turn helps maintain the diversity of plant communities. The health of these plant communities then affects everything else, from insect life to the populations of migratory songbirds. Their digging, while searching for roots or burrowing rodents, churns and aerates the soil. Studies have shown this digging actually increases nitrogen availability in the soil, which can lead to greater plant diversity in the areas where they forage. They are also master seed dispersers. When they eat massive quantities of berries and fruits, the seeds pass through their digestive system unharmed. They are then deposited in a new location, complete with a convenient pile of fertilizer, helping to propagate the very plants they rely on. In coastal ecosystems, they act as nutrient pumps. By catching salmon in the rivers and carrying the carcasses into the forest to eat, they transfer rich marine nutrients from the ocean to the forest floor. These nutrients fertilize the soil and support the growth of the towering coastal rainforests. Despite this incredible power and ecological importance, the grizzly bear's existence is precarious. The biggest threat they face has always been humans. Historically, they were seen as a danger to settlers and livestock, and were relentlessly hunted, trapped, and poisoned. This campaign led to a catastrophic decline in their numbers and range. In 1975, the grizzly bear was officially listed as a threatened species in the lower 48 states under the Endangered Species Act. At that time, the population had plummeted to an estimated 700 to 800 individuals. Since then, conservation efforts have allowed for a slow recovery in some of their last remaining strongholds, but they still occupy only a tiny fraction of the land they once roamed. Today, habitat loss and fragmentation are the primary threats. As human development, logging, mining, and roads expand, they carve up the vast, connected landscapes that grizzlies need to survive. This isolates populations, limiting genetic diversity and making them more vulnerable. Human-bear conflict also remains a major cause of grizzly mortality. As more people live and recreate in bear country, encounters become more likely. Bears that get accustomed to human food, whether from unsecured garbage cans or campsites, often become bold. These problem bears are frequently killed in the interest of human safety. Climate change is a new and growing threat, altering their food sources, like the timing of berry crops, and sometimes causing them to den later in the year, which increases the window for potential conflict with humans. But there is hope. Research has shown that these intelligent animals are adapting. In areas with high levels of human activity, some grizzlies are shifting their behavior to become more nocturnal, foraging and traveling at night to avoid people. The future of the grizzly bear depends on our continued commitment to conservation. This means protecting and reconnecting their habitats, promoting coexistence through education and better management of food attractants, and supporting the research that helps us understand these magnificent animals. By working to ensure the survival of the grizzly, we are not just saving an icon of the wild, we are protecting the health, balance, and integrity of the entire ecosystem that depends on it.